Hi, this is medium and psychic Kim Moore, and I thought I would share with you today why this medium does not believe in ghosts. So, ghosts in our culture are kind of given a bad rap as spirits who have somehow not crossed over, gone to the light, whatever you want to call it, that somehow they're stuck in between or suffering or they have some unfinished business. But in my experience as a medium, in all the years that I've done this, I've found that your loved ones come through and they're not suffering and they're not stuck, and they do still know what's going on and they are still connected to us, and that they're not suffering or stuck in some way. So my experience with loved ones has been very much that when they come to communicate, they want to communicate to you that they still see what's going on in your life, that they're still connected, that they're still the same, and that they love you. But that doesn't change the fact that some people have had some pretty negative or scary experiences with energy that have possibly caused injury or caused them to feel super scared or whatever the situation is. So I want to talk about that today. Not so much that your loved ones aren't still spirits in the spirit world, but just to let you know that they're not suffering. However, we have these other experiences in our day-to-day life that are kind of indisputable, right? So if I say to you, ghosts aren't real, but you've had an experience with something that you consider to be a ghost, then that isn't in alignment with what you believe. And sometimes that's really hard to kind of hear. So I'll just explain to you why I think the way I do, and then you can come up with your own conclusion about it. Because I did used to believe in ghosts or believe that there was somehow spirits suffering or they hadn't crossed over because of the life they lived, maybe because they crossed tragically or whatever the reason. So I'm going to tell you guys this little story and then go back and kind of tell you the story in my new way of seeing it. So several years ago, and I've told this story many times before, but several years ago, I was doing a little online radio show with this kid. And while I was getting on his show, there were some other people there at the radio station that I started a conversation with. And they were telling me that they lived up in the northern area of Colorado and that they had a couple of kids and two big dogs, and they'd all been sleeping in one room in their house, which they planned on moving from within the coming months. And they asked if I could come bless their house because they felt like there was a negative spirit in there. And also, in the past, other people that had lived there from the neighbors that were around had reported that other people that lived in the house had also thought that there were ghosts or some negative energy there. So that had been the experience in the house, and they were sharing this with me. So I thought, all right, no problem. I'll go out there. I'll bless it for you for the next people moving in so that they don't have the same struggles because they had already planned on leaving. So I had a student come with me, and we drove up there. And when we went up there, we kind of surveyed the house. That's generally how I bless houses. I walk in and kind of survey the space and see what I see. And while I was there, I felt like there was an older man and a little boy, and so did the student that was there with me. So I got together all the supplies that I usually used to bless a house, and they had these two big dogs. So there were these two dogs that were kind of about the same size as my waist, which I'm pretty short, so I forget what they were, but they were pretty big dogs that were there, and they were barking and they were angry when we got there. So they put them in their kennels. I grabbed up all my supplies. We went down in the basement. The little kid that they had gone to the neighbors, and I was with their teenage daughter, the couple, my student, and me. And so we were down in the basement, and I did this little salt blessing that I do down there with a little fire. And as we're down there, I'm starting to feel like the little boy leaves. But when I tuned into the man was like, no, this is my place. I don't want to move. You can't make me go. That was kind of the energy I was feeling. So instead, I just set the intention that he would be banished off the property. So as we're all standing there and this little fire is going in the middle of us and I'm talking about banishing him from the property, all of a sudden things get really loud and noisy. The flame goes out and the dogs upstairs go crazy. The TV turns on and you hear all these noises happening upstairs. And of course they were all looking at me like I knew what the heck was going on, and I was a little like, it's okay, everything will be fine. So we did that, and after all that went out, we went upstairs. The dogs were licking us. They were happy. We had to turn the TV on, or turn the TV off. And also the doors were still locked, even though we heard them open and close. So it was a really interesting experience, which made me think at the time, okay, these are ghosts. I'm helping them cross into the spirit world, and somehow now they're okay. But over the years of doing this, I've kind of seen that situation a little differently. And so I thought I would share that with you now so that you kind of understand my thinking here about ghosts and spirits and how they connect with us. So, looking back at that particular experience, I know that when we walked into the house, that the energy and heaviness there of like feeling like the house had been haunted, the neighbors had said it had been haunted, all that kind of stuff was in the house. So when you go to someone's house and they think it's haunted and then you think it's haunted, it kind of amplifies that energy within the space. Just like if you've ever like walked into someone's house and you know that that person and the person that might be there with them have been in a fight right before you got there, but you don't know what it is. You just feel something in the atmosphere. That's what happened. We went in there and we felt that in the atmosphere because there was a reputation in this house that it was haunted, that there were these spirits here. And then you have these kids and adults living in fear of the house. So that just amplifies all the negative energy that's going on in there, but it doesn't mean it's those spirits that are amplifying the energy. It's just the energy of the space. So by blessing that space, essentially what we did is clear out that negative energy. The spirit of the little boy that was there that came and left, I just, now in retrospect, there was no big difficulty there or anything. He just kind of went off to where he belonged. Maybe his energy was attached to the other young girl in the house or something like that, but that spirit left. But down to the guy who didn't want to let go of his house. So the thing is when that guy was alive, upon some like further research, he built that house. That was his family lived there, and this is just the way he was. And so he didn't want people in his space, or what he considered to be his space, but that was what he thought when he was alive. It's not what he thought in the spirit world. In the spirit world, he was just trying to communicate to me the type of guy he was. So I felt exactly the type of guy he was, that he loved his property, he spent everything he had to make it happen, and he didn't want to leave that space just because someone came in and said, hey, you got to go. So what happened with all that energetic disturbance, though, is what happens when we were breaking through all the negative energy about the house. The guy wasn't banished off the property. He just wanted to be heard, and he was heard, and then he left. And after that point, that house, for years and years after that, never had any problems like that, even though new people had moved in. And that had been from the reports of the people that lived behind that house. So I just thought I would share with you a different perspective on spirits and energy and how that works, because your loved ones are never suffering or stuck. They're always just fine where they are, but they're trying to communicate with us that they were here, that they loved people here, and that they still have things connected. But it doesn't mean necessarily that they're suffering. So I thought I would share that with you and let you know my opinion on why I don't believe in ghosts. It's your experience, so you're welcome to believe whatever you want, but I thought I would share with you my experience with this. So thank you very much, and look for upcoming videos on my channel. Thank you.